Does anyone actually believe that Joe Biden is a nice old man? The Democrats like to portray him as lovable Grandpa Joe or Uncle Joe, but time and time again, he's proven that he's nothing but cranky and mean-spirited. Take a look.
Ask the right questions.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
Come on, man. That's like saying you, before you got in this program, if you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
What do you say?
Go back and read what I said.
Wait. You're getting nervous, man.
That is an interesting reading in English. I assume you got in the journalism because you like to write.
I want to talk about happy things, man. What do you do all the time?
Can you imagine if President Trump had ever talked to the media that way? The press would say he's attacking journalists and the First Amendment, yet lovable Grandpa Joe gets away with this sort of behavior all the time. In fact, Axios reported that Joe screams and curses at his staff behind the scenes, but they spun it to claim that Joe's anger outbursts were really just a sign of respect. Well, based on all of this, it shouldn't surprise anyone that Joe Biden isn't as grandfatherly as he would like you to think. There is now a concerted effort within the White House to totally disown and completely ignore Joe's 7th grandchild. Karine Jean-Pierre wouldn't even acknowledge Joe's grandchild in her latest press conference.
There was a story in the New York Times over the weekend about Hunter Biden's daughter in Arkansas. Does the president acknowledge this little girl as his granddaughter?
I don't have anything to share from here.
And now, Joe's allies in the media have taken his lead. You would think that the media would ask common sense questions like, what kind of man disowns his grandchild? What kind of man pretends that his own granddaughter doesn't exist? But instead, the media, especially the ladies over at The View, are defending him and using this story to attack Republicans instead. But before I get into the details, if you like conservative news and commentary, be sure to hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell to make sure that you never miss a future video. It began when the New York Times finally ran a story exposing Grandpa Joe for misrepresenting the number of grandchildren he has.
I have 6 grandchildren, and I'm crazy about them. And I speak to them every single day. Not a joke.
So my name is Jill, and this is my husband, Joe. And your children may not know, but we have 3 children, and we have 6 grandchildren.
But there's only one problem. As the New York Times reports, it's 7 grandchildren, not 6. Again, this is coming from the New York Times, not some right-leaning outlet like Fox News. But that didn't stop the rest of the media from attacking the Times for doing its job. And the worst culprits were the ladies at The View.
Scarring one of his grandchildren's lives by not publicly embracing her. So apparently his son had a baby with a woman. They've fought about it, and he pays for the baby, but he has not embraced the child. So Maureen Dowd is saying it's bad for the child that the president has not acknowledged her. So I kind of think, well, she should be kvetching at the son, whose baby it is. It's not the president's baby. So I don't know what you think, but I'm throwing it out there.
I agree with you completely.
You want to know why the president is the one being targeted in all of this? It's because Joe himself has made his grandchildren a central part of his public image. Take a look at one of the many Twitter ads that Joe ran. I've had a rule my entire life. No matter what's happening, no matter how important the meeting, I will always answer a call from my grandchildren. Well, Joe, your 7th grandchild is calling. Navy Joan Roberts and her mom are in D.C. visiting all the monuments, and they are trying to get your attention. Yet, despite your own statement that you will always answer a call from your grandchildren, you are clearly ignoring Navy Joan. Why? Look, this wouldn't be so shocking and disturbing if Joe hadn't carefully cultivated his image as a nice guy. It's clear that the family man image that Joe created is just that. An image, and that behind the scenes, he's apparently a monster with a temper tantrum. But even all of that doesn't stop the woman at The View from defending him.
The reason that's happening is because the right wing, who again is weaponizing everything related to Hunter.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop you right there. No one is weaponizing everything related to Hunter. Hunter did that himself. That is his laptop that he hasn't denied. We have emails, texts, and WhatsApp messages about these money laundering schemes. No one is making any anything up. No one is weaponizing anything. That is called evidence.
Keeps asking, so how many children do you have, Mr.
No, it's been
grandchildren do you have? How many?
It's been speeches he delivered.
Maybe Maureen Dowd should find something else to write about.
Yeah, write about something else.
I'm sorry. You know, these things are, for me, when you start talking about people's families and what they're doing, I find it unnecessary. This is not anybody's business. Nobody needed to know about this. No. This is private. And I know people feel like you need to know everything. I'm sorry, you don't. You need to know not almost anything about people. But
I do feel like
That's rich. Do you remember the time when the media, including the ladies at The View, got into the personal lives of Sarah Palin and her family, including her newborn baby with Down syndrome? Oh, and remember when President Trump was indicted? Apparently, the woman of The View had no problems there invoking President Trump's grandchildren.
You know, I was thinking last night, boy, because I was reading this article where Ivanka and Jared apparently want to start their new life in Miami, and I was thinking, you know, they now can give their children the distinction of having matching mugshots for both of their grandfathers. Yeah. You can pick whether you want Charlie Kushner or Donald Trump mugshot if you are Jared and Ivanka's child.
Let's be honest, we all know that if any of President Trump's children had a child that he was ignoring, the media would be all over the story. It would be the scandal of a century. If Don Jr. or Eric Trump had a child with a stripper, you know that the media would be interviewing the stripper, putting her on TV, and demanding that the Trumps pay the maximum amount of child support possible.
Apparently, this was more of a one-night stand. It wasn't like they had a relationship. He was in the throes of addiction when this woman became pregnant. And she is posting pictures of the baby, like with an Air Force One cap and at the Jefferson Memorial. And so she is sort of trying to, I don't know, wedge herself into the family. And I don't think that's the right way to do it.
Wedge herself into the family? She is Joe Biden's blood. She is, by definition, a part of the family. How else would you describe it? I hate to say it, but they really do have systemic stupidity over there on The View.
I hate this for that child. You're not asked to be brought into the world. It's just a circumstance, you know? And
Sunny claims she hates this situation for this child, yet she's defending Joe's callous, cold-hearted decision to totally disown, disavow, and completely ignore this innocent child. It has nothing to do with trying to bash Joe Biden because of his politics. Rather, it's because Joe bragged that he would restore honor and decency to the White House. You know, most people don't follow politics closely. They're not political junkies. They just hear that honor and decency narrative and go along with it. But look, betraying your own flesh and blood is the complete opposite of honor and decency. You see, Joe had virtually zero accomplishments in the Senate, except for his anti-crime bill in 1992 that his own party claimed was a racist bill. So his whole sales pitch to the American people revolved around this idea of honor and decency, and he can't even live up to that.
And how do you
The hard part is you have both parents kind of weaponizing the child, because I know that Hunter Biden is like denying the child his name, which may make sense because they were never together. I don't understand, but they're fighting legally. The mom's posing the child with all these caps. The sad part here is the child is the innocent victim here that didn't make any choice and is having to suffer as a result. The only time I think President Biden doesn't need to overstep his son. I like that part, but I don't know why they go out of their way to say 6 grandchildren or 4 kids. When my parents talk about me, they say, we love all our kids. We love our grandbabies. I've never seen them numerically repeat over and over. I like 3 kids. I like 4 this. I like 6 this.
The reason that's happening is because the right wing, who again is weaponizing everything related to Hunter, keeps asking, so how many children do you have, Mr.
No, it's
grandchildren do you have? How many?
It's been speeches he delivered.
Even on their own segment, The View can't keep their story straight. Is it the parents, Hunter and the stripper, that are weaponizing the child against each other? Or is it the right? Look, the right isn't weaponizing anything. We're simply asking the White House to be honest about this one simple thing. Because look, if you can't even be honest about an innocent child, it's really hard to trust you on anything else, especially when your entire administration, your entire term, has been surrounded by scandal after scandal. And here's how bad The View's take on the situation was. It was so bad that even a CNN panel, Yes, CNN trashed Joe's refusal to even acknowledge his 7th grandchild.
You know, this is a story that is sad and disturbing on so many levels. It's complicated. Families are really, really hard, especially when you have issues that we have seen in this one. But he's also the president, and he also has a political brand.
And I think the striking thing in that great Katie Rogers piece, if you haven't read it, you should read it, is that this is all revolving around a 4-year-old who has knowledge of who her paternal grandfather is. And that, I think, is the hard thing to reconcile, both politically and just, you know, reading it as a human on this earth. It is just, it is so incongruent to who we've been told Joe Biden is forever.
But, of course, sanity doesn't last long on CNN. Jake Tapper thought he had some sort of brilliant point by attacking the mother of Joe's 7th grandchild as right-wing.
And we should point out, just for the sake of fairness, that Navy's mom, who had the incident with Hunter that resulted in this beautiful child, she has been caught up in some far-right folks, that Ziegler guy and all.
And not to be outdone, but over on CNN, Chuck Todd apparently thinks the problem isn't Joe or Hunter Biden, but rather Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis for wanting to ask Joe to even recognize his grandchild. Apparently, in the minds of the media elite, it's family-oriented people who are the bad guys.
Before I close, Maureen Dowd Garrett had a pretty tough piece on Joe Biden's. It was about sort of the Biden family isn't acknowledging all of Hunter Biden's children. It's 7 grandkids, Mr. President, not 6. I think we've all understand the personal challenge and concern and all of these things that the president has here. But his political foes see this and they're trying to exploit. I mean, there's no doubt every day DeSantis or Trump tries to use Hunter to beat up Biden.
Now, before I show you one final clip of Joe forgetting another grandchild, if you're enjoying this video, please give me a like, a thumbs up. It really helps me in the algorithm. I know it's simple to ask. And be sure to let me know what you are thinking in the comments. Does this change your opinion of Joe Biden at all? Do you think this story is relevant? Why or why not?
Anybody else have any questions? Yes, baby. What do you have? Oh.
My name's Amelia, and where are your grandsons or granddaughters?
We're okay. Her name is Amelia. She wants to know where my granddaughters are. One granddaughter lives in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia. One granddaughter lives in New York. One granddaughter lives in Washington. One granddaughter lives in Wilmington, Delaware. And the other grandsons, my grandson lives in California. I left somebody out, didn't I? Anyway, Philadelphia, Wilmington, and I did say 5. You're right. So let me see. I got 1 in New York, 2 in Philadelphia. There's a 3. No, 3, because I got one granddaughter who is, I don't know. You're confusing me, but they're all around